As we are going to discuss in the lectures about the Holy Tongue, Lashon HaKodesh, so I would like to represent you to show the books which I did, which covers a lot of topics, definitely based on the Hebrew letters, the letter with which the word was created. This is written, Bereshit bara Elokim et. In the beginning, God created et, Aleph Tav, from Aleph to Tav. So, as the word was created with letters, then definitely it covers almost every area. So we try to show, as much as we can, the idea behind different areas and to show how they're connected to the Hebrew language, to the Hebrew letters. Now, definitely there's much more behind, but we try to touch almost every area as we could, how much we knew, but we think it is quite important. Now you can say that the first book of us, which we did, was done in South Africa. It was called Sparks of the Holy Tongue, because it was still sparks, really, after teaching there, and realizing, especially speaking with students, with university people, I could see that somehow the subjects, the Hebrew letters, really had a great impact. Suddenly people saw so much behind. So then the idea came to me, why not write a book about the Holy Tongue? Definitely speak about 50 years ago. Yeah, 50 years ago. A bit more perhaps, but this was when I started doing the first book, Sparks of the Holy Tongue. I did it with one of my pupils now as a lawyer, a magister in London, Dennis Rosenthal, and he had exactly, his wife went for holidays, so he had time, so I sat with him, and I told him definitely the idea in Hebrew and in English. He wrote it, and it came out, Sparks of the Holy Tongue. It was printed in South Africa. I think that about us also saw this book and it had a great impact on him. So this was really the beginning when I felt really that it's so much behind Hebrew letters, Lashon HaKodesh, and so many important messages behind. And so this is what I did. Then later on, going more into this material, reading more about it in different books, then the book came in different name, Letters of Fire. There's a book, Letters of Fire. And there I brought many more ideas about Lashon HaKodesh. Different chapters which we deal different ideas, like we mentioned here, reward and punishment, and you've taken a Hebrew word, and you can see in the same word, really, words and punishment, reward and punishment, like depends how you read it, yeah? Even it is so interesting, perhaps, to point out, yeah? Onesh, yeah, in Hebrew, onesh is punishment, yeah? The same letters is also sha'on. Sha'on is really mishenet. Not a clock, sha'on, li, sha'en. So what is the connection between punishment and this? How we say the sun, Mishantecha, Shibtecha, Mishantecha, Imanachamuni. Right? In fact, interesting that punishment sometimes really is the basis for a man. How? You understand what he did wrong, he's doing Shuvah. Okay, there are much more behind this letter. We think about the letter I is the I, and the Shin is the this, non understanding. But definitely there's a lot behind this. And in this book of Letters of Fire, almost each chapter, quite a thick book, not so, but contains lots of internal material. And this is what I showed there. Like if you remember, I spoke about Oneg and Nega, Oneg and Shemet, the highest level, the book of formation said. And these same letters, different order, Nega, plague, disease, all the troubles, Nega, how it can be. So we said, depends which is the first letter. Right, it is the Ayin or the Nun. Okay, this is another idea I went in my book, and so on. Also, meaning of letters, meaning of names, All this in this book, Letters of Fire. One can say it's really widening, expanding of the book, Sparks of the Little Tongue, which I started really there. Letters of Fire, definitely, based on the idea that the Torah was shown to Moses, black fire and white fire. This is like within the Torah. A lot of ideas behind the black and the white, but this is really the idea of the Letters of Fire. So this really was the first book, we can say, after Sparks of the Tongue, really clearly deals with the basis of the Hebrew letters. I think this is really the most important book. It came in many, many editions, and also translated to Russian, other languages, because it's an important book really to show what is the Holy Tongue, as we said. And future is written as already we realize. It's Zephaniah, the prophet Zephaniah says, אז יפוך על העמים שפה ברוכה, then I return on all nations. Clear language, שפה ברורה, נאמר כל בלי גימטריה, לשון הקודש, לקרוא כולם בשם השם, that all of them will read, לקרוא, really the name of God. And we say this is a verse in Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 8 to 9, I think. You will see there. And what is interesting, that this verse contains 26 verses, like the name of God, we said, and also contains all the 27 letters of the alphabet, the 22 normal one, and the final, Mansepach, which is the Mem Sofit, the final letter. So 27, there is the idea, 3 times 9, because there's a different word, 9 of the singles, of the tenths, of the hundredths, as we mentioned about the Aleph, that there are 3 dimensions, 3 words, the word of action, singles, the word of formation, tenths, variation, hundredths. So this is the idea of 27, 999. Also, not crazy. Everything has a meaning, So this is really, as we said, the book Letters of Fire, and contains all this idea. By the way, really, I can say that it was really edited by one of the best editors of Feldheim. It came out as Feldheim Publishers. And the editor of the book was Mrs. Tabak, but she was one of really the best one. And really, she asked me for almost every sentence, the source, and so on. So it is a book with really, I think, 10 pages about the sources of what I bought, which I feel is also very important. One should know. And then my translator is the translator for Arthur Shlomo Fuchs, here, Fuchs. Oshri, he really translated most of my books. He's translated books for ArtScroll, I think it was Naim Torah, I think some more, but very good translator. And also knows my books, appreciates the books, and really beautifully translate my books. So he translated Letters of Fire and other books of mine. But as I said, Letters of Fire really don't say the basis of my books, and if somebody really want to know about it, so this is, as we said, a book which can be acquired in my site, Glazerson.com, GlazersonBooks.com, and as I said, it came in many, many editions, also in Russian, also, and therefore, I feel that if somebody wants to know about Lashon HaKodesh, so it's worthwhile seeing this book. Then, there is another book which I did, also which I felt very important. And this is a book which is called Mystical Glory of Shabbos and Festivals. Now this is a book also Feldheim brought it out. And this is a book which I did because I felt, especially in South Africa, being there, and the people should know what is Shabbos, Not only not working on Shabbos is everything. There is much more behind. This book, I try to go into the deep meaning of Shabbos through the letters, through the meaning of the word Shabbos. Like Shabbos, according to Kabbalah, is Shin, but what is this Shin? So the Zohar says, Shabbat is a time of Shin, or the Shin, the three forefathers, like the three branches. And we said also the three branches, their shape. In the left you have Zion, which is like a weapon, like an Isaac. And you have the letter Yud, right? Abraham, wisdom, and Vav, Jacob. So basically, this is what the Zohar says, that on Shabbat, we have like the spirits of the three forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, come to Bat Israel, to the door of Israel. There is a special enlightenment, inspiration of Shabbos by the three forefathers. It comes also through the meals, the three meals, you know. The evening one is Isaac, then Abraham, and Jacob. There is a reason for this order, but Shabbos, then Shabbos also has in it another interesting idea, which really comes with sharp Tav, like returning Tav. Tav is the last letter of the alphabet, representing the word to come. So Shabbos, we know, is Mein Olam Haba. If one really cut himself from the mundane, from the secular, and really feels the beautiful atmosphere of Shabbos, so he feels Mein Olam Haba, like the word to come. Yeah. So this year is the word sharp Tav, like returning to the Olam Haba, yeah, to our word. We came from also from the word to come, the Neshama. So, on this book, Mystical Glazerson shows what is Pesach, also Passover. In fact, also is worthwhile mentioning there was a word, secret of the Agada. Again, going into the meaning of the Agada, through the meaning of the letters, and many interesting ideas come in this way. Gematria, collecting definitely from many books, Ben Yishchai, the Chida, books which really brings a lot, also Gematria, meaning of letters. So Secrets of the Agada and Mystical Glory of Shabbos really deals basically with the idea of, as we said, what is Pesach, Passover, where it comes, what the letter Pei Samech Chet represent, and definitely the numerical value of it. The Ari HaKadosh says Pesach 22 letters, importance of speaking. A lot of idea behind Lesson Kabbalah, and this is in my book about mystical glory of Shabbos and Festival, and the secret of the Agada, also about Pesach, the meaning of the Agada. In fact, worthwhile pointing out that after seeing how much is important that people will find out what is Shabbos, that one should understand that Shabbos is much more. I wrote another book, this was a later stage, this was the Hidden Light of Shabbos. Hidden Light of Shabbos based on something that not many people know. That in Vayachulu, that we say in the Kiddush, these verses on Vayachulu contains 35 words, which is the numerical value of a Jew, Yehudi, and contains 144 letters, and 144 is Matityahu Glazerson, by the way, the name for Shabbos, not only the one in the state, but Kedem, Mirosh Mikedem Lesucha. So there are 144 letters, which is also significant, 12 times 12, but what is the most interesting, that the Chadodi that we sing, welcoming the Shabbos in Shul, contains also 144 words, 10 parts, definitely against the 10 spheres. We know that it was written by Rav Shlomo HaKabes, as you see in the letters of these parts, Shlomo HaLevi. And very likely that, like Vaychulu, which is really the end, the summary of the creation, Shabbos, which contains 144, so also in the Chadodi, he put also 144, which also amazingly divided 5 parts, 72. In fact, it is 3, the starting of the other 5, 72 and 72. 72, very important number. This is the name of one of the names of God. When you write Yud Ke Vav Ke fully, Yud Vav Dalet, Yud, and so on. And 72, no, also 72 different names. But amazingly, 72 and 72 and 44, and Vayachulu contains it. So again, in this book, in light of Shabbos, really, I try to show what is more in Vayachulu. Even I brought there interesting words which comes out through codes. It means there are different words which coming in Vayachulu, in the different skips, and also very interesting one. By the way, is one that one can see without a computer, only with fingers. And this is when you take Yom HaShishi, you take the last Yud of Yom HaShishi, you count 7 letters, my Yom HaShishi, Vayachulu Asha, you come to Shin, Shamayim. Then you carry Varetz V'chotzam, 7 letters, you come to Reish, 7 letters to come to Aleph, 7 letters to Lamed. Amazing, all this from the last letter, Yud, Yom HaShishi, not the Yud, Yom HaShishi, but not Yud, HaShishi, right? And then the last Yud from there. What is the teaching? Amazing ones. In Genesis you have it, not that you can find many times Israel 7. No, only this is in Genesis, and the connection is simple because we know quite well that the 7th day is Shabbos 7. And why Israel? Because it's written that Israel is like as a bride. It's what we sing in Kalkala, the famous Medrash, which says that the Sabbath complained, I don't have a couple, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I don't have a couple, so I say, don't worry. I will find for you a very nice couple. This is Israel. This is exactly the Sabbath, and this is why we sing L'chad Adi, L'chad Kala, Shabbat Nekabla. So it means you can see it amazingly, the code, and also in the right number, in the right place. You know, they can do code anytime they want to. No, this is exactly the deep idea of Bible code. This is another subject of books which I wrote with Professor Haralik. I wrote with Professor Haralik, he's professor, distinguished professor now in New York. He himself was, in the beginning, I even married to an angel. But meeting me, it was an interesting case. He met me, perhaps in short, because he was such an important professor, and his area was Misas and so on, so he was requested in many universities, and he went all over, and then it happened, he was in Italy, and then Israel, and he came to visit the Wailing Wall, and then it happened that I had a place there, I right on top, if you go on the steps on the left, I was there, I had a place there, with my books, and he entered, he came to the Wailing Wall Hotel, he came up with his wife, and he saw in the window my books, so he came in and said, oh, these important books, I have a few of them, I have more, these are more, so at the end, the story, in short, he invited me to Seattle. He was at the time the head of the electric engineering department in Seattle University. And then, amazing story is that he told me to come to visit him. So it was, at that time I went to Los Angeles to give lectures, also interesting story that through lecture on astrology I managed to bring back to Judaism the greatest astrology in the world, Sidney Roma, also interesting story by itself. But then he invited me to come to Seattle. So I came to him and he told me that a few weeks ago he was in a seminar and spoke about Torah code, the Bible code. So, but he felt so much more behind, was a show, interesting. So he himself made a program on the codes, you know, it took us 600 letters of Torah, 600, 300, and then he made this program, and he said, look, I made this program. So I said to him, show me what you have in the program. And then I told him, put in the program, please, Street, Rabin, all these other things. And I saw it came exactly in the right place. So I said, Professor, we are writing a book. So I sat with him 2 months, you know, I was in universities, and we were together, looking at the sources, and so on. Writing a book, I think it was called, I don't know if it's still in the market, but it was called Israel in a Bible called Torah or something like this. Then, slowly, you know, kept mitzvahs, his wife converted, and now he's in Monsey, distinguished professor in the University of New York. That's an interesting story, it's come from, it started with Hebrew letters, really, that he saw it, was very impressed. And in fact, he also wrote a book about the Hebrew letters, I gave him a recommendation. The story in itself. But this is really, as we said, this is a book, Hidden Light of Shabbos, Vayachulu, in which I showed quite few examples of quotes which come in Vayachulu, which have messages for the Shabbos. So this is really Hidden Light of Shabbos, which also one can get in my site, Glazerson, books.com, Glazerson.com. Then, as I felt, this I can say, I was in Israel because I was teaching in Or Sameach. And what I saw there, in Or Sameach, Jerusalem, interesting people there, people came from India, they had meditations there, and they became Balei Tshuva. What was there? It is an interesting story. It is quite interesting phenomenon that Israelis who go to India, somehow they become Balei Tshuva there. They're interesting stories, the way how it is, but maybe they have time more to think, They are cut off from all this dirty politics in Israel, with Netanyahu all the time. So they have time to think properly, straight, their mind is clean. So really many of them really became Baal Tshuva. One of them that his story is quite famous in Hebrew, is Fanger, by Fanger. Also, he was there, interesting story, tells his story, but there are others. In fact, I made in the radio at that time, the Voice of Israel even asked me to, it was Melavi Malka, I brought with me three Israelis who became Baal Tshuva in India, and they told their story, how they became, but most of them really clearly thinking, they had time to think what is really meaning of life and to cut themselves from all this, what is going in Israel, politics. Okay, so this is when I heard what attracts them to India. And they show me books. Which really attracted them very much. Books which speak about happiness, joy, all kind of beautiful things. And I saw these books. So what I did, I took almost the titles of their books, the chapters, happiness, joy, light, health, and so on. And I wrote a book in Hebrew, which is called Me'odi LaYehudi. Really what I did, I took their ideas, because one cannot, like he said, that what is this Hinduism, idolatry? No. If you take their main ideas, meditation and so on, it's not so simple. Okay, it's involved in idolatry and so on, but if you take basic of the ideas, not simple at all to get them. Especially, we know that Menashe ben Israel said that, Menashe ben Israel was 200 years ago, about this time, very famous, to bring the Jews in England, there's a story about him, but he wrote a book, Nishmat Chaim, which he says clearly that he made a research and found out that the Indians of today, not of them, but Indians are descendants of Abraham. What I brought also interesting is the highest group which consider there is Brahmins, the Brahmins, they themselves, and not from fact, they agree that they are called Brahmins because of Abraham. I had an interesting story about it. Maybe I will tell you the story in short. So it was it was a time that quite pilots and went to India, after the army, and then some of them really tried to get into their, things. In Milik is called all kind of meditations that they did, which even something to go out of the body, all these kind of tricks that, so some pilots tried to do it. So one of them told me the story, came to Or Sameach. So I told him, what happened to you that you came? So he told me an amazing story. He told me that he was there for 3 years and, he managed by training and so on to get very high levels of this was the Indians, look for it, to be able to concentrate in such a way to go out of the body, whatever it is. But he was very successful. So the people told him, okay, because you are so talented, you managed to achieve such a level, we are going to give you a degree or a title, very important title. Okay, said fine, said okay. Tomorrow come to this place, and there we will really do something to give you this title. So he told me, they brought him to a room, was, I think, green, it was a special atmosphere, there were spices, burning, and so on. So they said to him, from now on, you are going to be in the group of the Brahmins. I said, but the Brahmins? The Brahmins? He was a big man, Abraham. And he has descendants and so on. So now you will belong to his group. So he told me when he got a shock. I have to come to India to become descendants of Abraham. He took his suitcase, came to Or Sameach, and so, yeah, this is a clever person, when you see the truth, this is this, yeah. So this is a book which I wrote, and I tried to say, I tried to show that almost everything, when we speak about health, briut. So I thought clearly, what is briut? They are put such emphasis of health, breathing, breathing very important. So I tell you one word in short, only a word in short. Like say, the word, take the word briut, health. What you have is the word briut. You have the bet and the taf, briut, and then you have your or inside, right? Briut is really or bite, light in the house. Light is known, from Kabbalah, or light and air are connected, because in fact, avir is the same like or with the yud, with the oxygen. It means, so health has to do with light, with air, but more it is, in fact, the letter bet, yud, taf, the outer letter of the briut of health is body, or house. House and body is the same thing, because in English, embodiment is a house of body, because the body is the embodiment, the house of the spirit, of the neshama. So if you want briut, if you want health, there is a simple way. Breathe properly to the light in your body, in your house. Amazing. This is exactly what I said, but it's much more. If you read my books, there are much more going into this area. But for us, definitely the idea of health is not only physical. It's really when we have the light in the Torah in our body, when we live according to the Torah, the light of the Torah, then really we are healthy, So this is briut, but amazing to see. Don't go into the numerical value of briut, which is also the teaching, but the simple letters of briut is or bite, yeah. Light in the house. In the house, Shabbat is also light in the house. But all this goes together, amazing. So serious people became Baal Tshuva through my books. And even it is an interesting story. One day I got a phone call from Denver, Colorado. Somebody told me, Rabbi Glazerson, what is Judaism? What happened to you? I said, no, look, I'll tell you my story. He said, I think if you even doctor, said, 20 years I studied all the wisdoms of the Chochmes of the Indians, looking really into it properly, and seeing a lot of wisdom. And then I thought, really, he was a man of 70, he told me, and he thought about afterlife. What he knows about afterlife is that the Indian promise, we have a lot of, believe very much in incarnation. Yeah. And he went to his guru in Hawaii. Yeah, he's a very great guru. So he went to Hawaii, to the guru, and he said, please turn me into Hindu. I want really to be incarnated, whatever it is. So he said, what you are now? The Jew, wait a minute. So he went to his Kabbalah, he took a book, Hinduism back to Judaism, and he said to him, you're a Jew, you have a Jewish soul, you don't need us. You can meditate within your own tradition and call Rabbi Glazerson and tell him what to do. So he called me, he said, I wanted to be a Hodi, and he made me Yehudi. Yeah, you know what is different? Hodi, yeah, is a Jew without Yud. Hod in Hebrew is like a glow, like reflection of sunlight, Hod and head, the echo the same thing. Hod. So this is the Hodi is like a, the echo, a reflection of what a Yehudi. Yehudi is a Yud, is a Chokhmah, is God. So Hodi is nice. Yehudi should be Yehudi. Yud is Hodi, not enough to be Hodi. You have to be Yehudi. So he called me and he told me, look, I wanted to go. So I told him to go to a rabbi in Denver. I think maybe I told it Zetanah Latversky, I think it was Rabbi Zer, and he goes there. And then he became nice, Jew with his family. Amazing to see how such things, and also there's other stories in my book. Hinduism back to Judaism had an impact on it. It came also in Russian, by the way. I think in French also. So, this is another book I wrote also based on Hebrew letters, because I felt people should know. They are running to India, those I speak, not all of them, some of them are going there to enjoy it, but I speak about people really, which are serious, still things that you can get something there, like concentration and whatever, meditation. So these people definitely can get a lot from my books. As I said, it came in Hebrew, Hodi Yehudi, you can get it in Israel, I think, in shops there, and Hinduism back to Judaism in my site, GlazersonBooks.com. So this is another book, another aspect which really I try to show through the Hebrew letters. Then, so this is, as I said, I could see what attracts, and he showed me the books, I wrote a book. Then, also other kind of people came to Or Sameach, and Or Sameach in Israel, the Israelis. At that time, now he's no Or Sameach, now he's Ashrei Ish by Rabbi Ben Porat, that we worked with him together also a little bit. Yeah, in Kol Baramad. But also, at that time was Or Sameach, I was teaching the Israelis and the English also. And then also some people knew astrology, yeah. So then I saw that something interesting, that this astrologist told me that they became Baal Shuvah and so on. So then again, I went a little bit into astrology again. I took the main ideas definitely, and then books, the Book of Formation, Sefer Avraham, bring a lot about letters with which the stars elements were created. And in fact, I gave a lecture here also, one can see in the internet about astrology, lecture astrology. And then I wrote this book about this zodiac, also it came in French, Russian, English, yeah. And then, again, I show how really letters are connected with stars and elements and so on, and sometimes to understand astrology, you have to know Hebrew. Why? For example, I will not go into now, in fact in my lecture, but every star, planet, better to say, was created with a letter. So let us say the Gimal, Bet was Saturn, Gimal was Jupiter. Jupiter, the greatest of the planets. And according to astrology, definitely represent chesed, loving kindness, charity, something like this, good heart, yeah. And our rabbis in the Gemara says that Abraham was born under Tzedek, yeah, the Gemara says. An interesting Gemara, the Gemara says that when God promised Abraham to have a son, he said, no, how can you promise a son? I'm an astrologer, seen the stars that I cannot have. So God asked him, what do you see in the stars? What is the sin in your map? So he said, I see that my star, Tzedek is exactly for Abraham, is now in the west. Before it was in the east. When I have children, east is see the sun is shining, so hot, but it is a cold side. So God said, The Gemara brings a verse asking for Job. Mi yair me mizrach tzedek. Who brought to the east tzedek. Yeah, so God told me, and for me really the Gemara says, En mazal Israel. It means even the stars shows something bad about somebody, the future. No, you are able by davening, praying, starting to write the mitzvah to transcend. You know, many stories about this. Even Pharaoh, yeah, he was a great astrologer. He saw clearly the Jews are in a danger of extermination in the deserts, really. So, I see, you go to the desert, this is Ma'adim, they already know. You are in danger of evil, destruction. No, he was right. But because of Jews keeping it so at that time, they're okay. So this blood turned to be blood of circumcision, so the mitzvah of circumcision saved them. So it means there is something in astrology. One should know, according to Halacha, is watching Shulchan Aruch, that one should not look and should not ask astrologists, you know. Tamim tiyem Hashem Elokecha, you should not say. But there are masses, there in brackets, but if you went, he did not know you. You are not Baal Shuv yet, he did not know. So you went and he told you something bad is going to happen. So if he's a serious astrologist, he's written that you have to worry. Yeah, you have to worry, you have to pray. In fact, in short, when I gave a lecture on my book about the Zodiac in astrology, it happens that I sold my books there about the Zodiac. So a woman who, she became Barat Shuvah Orthodox, she bought my book, and she happened to live in a flat with the greatest astrologist, Sidney Omar. One can see he passed away, but he was very famous, and in fact, he was this one who told Kennedy, it was in the paper at the time, don't go to Dallas, they're going to kill you. And in fact, he was right, and okay, he was very famous, but so this lady happened to live in a flat next to him, so she knocked on the door, she said, you know, there is a book of astrology, rabbis also believe, Judaism said, what, you tell me nonsense. All the rabbis told me, don't deal with astrology. So he said, when he looked into the book, and he knew alphabet, he said to her, Mrs., you know, this rabbi changed all my life. You know, unbelievable. Astrology and Judaism going so nice together. So she asked him, well, what's happened? I tell you the truth about me. I am Jewish. I was born in Poland. I learned the Cheder and the alphabet. But when I was really interested in astrology, I felt deep inside. So the rabbi told me, leave it away, go to yeshiva. No. So when I saw how true it is astrology, because it is true, I cannot, you know, great rabbis, Ibn Ezra wrote many books about astrology, others, the Ramban, no doubt. So he was so close with Judah and said, no more Sidney Omar, no more Zeli Kimmelman, this was his name, Sidney Omar, and he's very, very famous. But the Ashgoche made that, he said to her, I must have this book, so they called the books there in Los Angeles, and they told him the book is sold out. So he said, but I must have this book, I must. So he looked in my book, was the name of a number phone of my cousin in Santa Barbara. So he said, let us call him, maybe he will have the book we sent to us. Who picked up the book? The phone, I was exactly visiting him. And he said, who's Sidney Omar? What is there? What do you want? No, Sidney Omar. He's a man to a vision, nobody can speak with him. So he told me, please, I saw your book, I was so impressed to see the connection with letters and this and Zodiac. And then, please come to me, I make you blood kosher, invite some people from Hollywood, actors Jewish. I want them to know what is really Judaism, astrology, it goes beautiful. So it was like this, I came for a few hours, we spoke, I spoke, and okay, he passed away, but at least put mezuzah in the door, so at least he died as a Jew. I mean, if not me, nobody knows that he's Jewish. So what I want to say that this is the purpose of my book about the Zodiac, to show that astrology and Judaism goes together, so not what people think now. Yeah, definitely. The interpretation is definitely different, yeah? For example, I give interpretation for the month of Adar. You know, the month of Adar was created according to the book of Hormesh with the letter Kof, not Kuf, Kof. And the attribute of this month, according to the Ari, is schok, you know, laughing, mocking, what they call it. So they say that, astrology says that good actors are Pisces position, yeah. And I'm telling a story, maybe again the story that I told before that, I know it because Barbara Streisand, you know, Jewish, she made a movie, Yantel, had to do with, definitely with Jewish idea. She wanted to live back a little bit of Jewish life. So she took Yantel, and you know the story that a girl wanted to learn yeshiva, so she was like a boy, and I don't know the story, but then she knew my books and she liked them, you know the story. And her co-actor, Mandy Patinkin, were to play, the yeshiva boy. She told him, she gave him a ticket for 2 days, said, go to Rabbi Glazerson in Jerusalem, Yeshiva Sameach, and see how yeshiva boy look like. So he came to my class, he didn't know anything, so a nice fellow comes, put his tape recorder, and then it was exactly Rosh Chodesh Adar, you know, and exactly I said in this one, how the difference between Jewish astrology and Goyish. So I said, look, for us acting is Purim, acting to show that this world is really acting, you know, it is only not real, it is like the real world is the spiritual one, you know. And what we see outside, you know, it is only covering. Yeah, this is why we, with Masechot, Mas, you know, we cover ourselves to show that all this decree of Haman and all this terrible situation was a mask, was covering, because if the inside is okay, we are doing sure everything is falling out, all this physical. So I said it's a time of really, of acting, but proper acting, to act and to show. There's a word is really a word of stage. All word is stage, Shakespeare said it. It is not really, the real one is future one, Olam Haba, yes, where to come. But now, is not yet. So then I spoke about this, and I said I saw it in secular is actors also because they are acting. Well, now, what is the idea? So it is very interesting that the letter Kof in Hebrew means copying. Copying, because this is really an actor doing, is copying. Also Kof and copying, very close, yeah, Kof. And also is a meaning in Hebrew, Kof. So, copying. So, Adar is a month of copying. So, copying in a negative way, is copying, you know, all these movies copying, and unfortunately all kinds, people try to copy, not the right things. So what is the real copying? Copying God ways, like like God is slow to merciful, you should be like Him. Like He's not to anger, you should be like Him. So this is a real copying, which bring you to the Kuf, to the Kedusha, which the Gemara Shabbos said. But the Zohar says that Kof is Kof monkey, amazing. The expression Kof acharei ben Adam, Kof, a monkey after it is really from the Zohar. The interesting explanation, like the letter Kof, if you are looking, you put the Kof and the A next to each other, it looks very, very similar. Both build up the same, but if you look properly, you see the Kof have a tail goes into the ground. You know, this is the difference with holiness, which is on the ground, and definitely copying the wrong one, which bring you down, not in the right way. So you see everything is positive and negative. So in fact, so after this, Mandy Patinkin, the co-actor of Barbara, he told me, you are right, you know, the good actors really are in Hollywood, this. So he liked very much, in fact, my talks at that time, especially when exactly somehow the Ashgacha was exactly came in about astrology and about this thing. So instead of 2 days, he said about 10 days, he wanted to visit me and so on. But then he called me and he said, Barbara told me if I'm not coming back, it's no job anymore. So he went back, then I met him. He said, okay, now he's in Hollywood, he's playing Hamlet But he told me he and Barbara went through my books and enjoyed it. So, also interesting. And again, what a book can do about the Zodiac. People are not aware at all how much is in Judaism. So I want to learn more. Then I wrote, by the way, one of the books which Barbara Streisand liked very much was a book of mine which is called Revelation about Marriage. Then I show how Hebrew words, Ish and Isha, clearly show you, if you go into the letters, different ways, combinations of letters, Gematria, you have important teaching how men and women should live. Ish and Isha, Yud Kein. So, this is a book of Revelation about marriage, which I did, and she liked it very much, and I did not have a change, such a great change, but still, somebody showed me that in Magazine Life, she brought pages from my book, and she appreciated it. Look, she was learning in this